Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I will be talking about politics rather than what appears to have been a long bout of videos about my personal dramas and issues in life. And this is partly brought on by the, of course, the US election. Of which I unfortunately think that Harris will probably win. Unfortunately, I am by no means a pro-Trump individual or anything, but I think given the two individuals, I think I'd rather see Trump back in the White House than. And it's not because Harris is a woman or anything like that. It's just that I just don't think that we need any more. We need any further bouts of this whole woke madness and this excessive liberalism that will, let's face it, will continue under Harris as it and probably get worse even under her time as president than it has under Biden, or at the very least it'll be more of the same, I would imagine. So I think, it's Trump is a controversial figure. Let's face it. I don't think that he's quite. Look, I'm not saying that he's an ideal candidate to be president for the US, but I think given the options, I would. Sometimes it's the as they often say, the devil is then better than the one that you don't. And I think I'm not saying that his time as president wasn't without its controversies and issues, but I think probably overall it would be better for him to be president for a lot of reasons, really. I think because of the impact that it would likely have on the UK and Europe, and I think you would, if nothing else, you would certainly see some shift more to the right, centre right, as we call it as we look at it and view it and think about it in England or in the UK in general. So that's what I would like to see. Well, I hate to say I say that. I don't really want to see either of them become president, to be quite honest about it. I don't think neither of them are well, certainly Harris is certainly someone I don't ever want to become president. And in an ideal world, I don't even really think I would like to see Trump be president. But as I say, as I said when I started this video, I suspect Harris will. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I honestly won't be surprised if she ends up winning this, just simply because it's this. It's the kind of like new Obama era kind of thing, isn't it? It's like we'll have that whole, the first female president and all this sort of thing, and this is a victory for liberalism and all this kind of thing, and the media will pounce all over it, and then after a few years of her presidency, they'll deeply regret what she's done to the country, made the economy even worse than it was under Biden. So. But anyway, I just wanted to say that because it's sort of in some ways relevant to what I want to talk about. And this video is not going to be excessively long because, for starters, my battery's dying on my iPad, and I just don't want to keep making these long-winded videos. Really, it's because. I haven't been through my last videos yet. I didn't actually timestamp the last few videos, and I should have done really. But I had other personal matters to attend to, and just haven't really felt like it. So there's that. So the situation in the UK at the moment is, let's face it, an absolute shambles, politically speaking. We've got Starmer as leader of the so-called Labour Party, I think we've got, is it Kemi Badenoch, whatever her name is now, and the leader of the Conservatives. You know, we've got this potential rise of reform being sabotaged, certainly trying to be sabotaged, and also now a lot of what would have been potential reform voters coming out and basically saying that they no longer stand with Nigel Farage or Tice, because I think a lot of people are seeing reform for what it is, and that it is literally a business, but I think people are you know, these people, as people call them, grifters, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think especially from, look, you know, I think it wasn't like Tice like a I think it was a manager. I think it had like management roles and things like that, and obviously Nigel Farage has been in business before, and so, you know, they are essentially businessmen, and it is a business venture in many respects. As far as they do have political aims, but I have a look. The way I see it is this: either Reform are playing a very long, slow, progressive game in which they're trying to secure power and to get into, eventually, to form a government. And so they're being extra precautious, extra careful about what they say and what they do. I know they appear and sort of, you know, distancing themselves from the that lot, as Tice called them. You know, the supporters of people like Tommy Robinson, and people that have had his back for a very long time, or, you know, the likes of just the kind of people that watch, the types of people that really, you know, the so-called patriotic types of people, I guess. You know, these people that attend these rallies and things like that, marches. You know, they watch these kind of like centre right, or, you know, more patriotic, like promoting channels on YouTube, like likes of Paul Thorpe and or even UKIP and things like that, or like really small, I won't say fringe, but lesser known parties out there. But you've also got a lot of disillusioned voters that really don't know where to go. They don't know, because of what's happened recently, and because they don't know whether they can really trust reform. And quite frankly, I just always got a weird vibe from Tice personally. Even sometimes from Farage. Just like I respect the man in many respects because of what he's done, what he's managed to achieve. But I also think that it's ultimately about him. He always has to be centre stage, quite literally. He always has to be in the spotlight, and it's always really about him and his image and his status and his progression through politics, kind of things. But at the same time, you know, that's really pretty much the only way you can really legally change anything in the UK, via the political system. If you can crack the first past the post political structure that's in existence. I just don't. I personally, I don't know what to. I just don't know whether you can really trust reform. I think they've either Tice really, either Farage and Tice really genuinely do mean what they've said with regards to, you know, let's face it, working class voters. Because essentially these people are opportunists, really. the political opportunists, that they're seeking power, they're seeking to. I mean, yeah, you could say that maybe some of their policies would benefit the people that support them, maybe, but let's not pretend that it's not also for their own gain, their own self-interest and their own egos, because that is a part of it as well. And whether that's just something that we just have to tolerate and put up with for the sake of doing away with this sort of, what would you call it, like a kind of woke monopoly, political monopoly, this liberal dominance over everything. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know whether it's worth. I don't know whether reform are good, because I suspect what's going to happen now that with the Conservatives having a new leader, people will be waiting. Excuse me. People will be waiting to see how she performs as a leader, and what she comes out in defence of, and her overall stance. But I think a lot of people, I get the impression that regardless, I don't really think it's going to make much of a difference. Yeah, they might gain some voters back, but I suspect overall that they're finished for the foreseeable future as far as I'm concerned, unless they have someone with more charisma and more bold, radical policies. I think I suspect the Conservatives are pretty much confined to the political dustbin dustbin really. For at least for the next 10, 15 years, I reckon. So we'll have to see what happens on that regard. But I mean, I certainly know I'm not a Conservative voter, but I do think what the Conservatives were supposed to be about in many respects. I'm not completely against the Conservatives. I'm not anti-Tory, but I just don't think that they're trustworthy, and I think that they're very kind of, in many respects, they take this very kind of north-south divide thing very, very seriously, and they don't really care that much about the north, because they see it as as collateral. They see it as, I think they see it as a kind of chain around their neck kind of thing. And to be fair though, I think even Labour are like that now. It's like that, these are dead end places. There's nothing there. There's no productivity. There's no industry there. There's nothing we can take from them kind of thing. So the only thing we can really do is to I personally, I think that this whole migrant thing is a deliberate thing. I don't think it's incompetence at all. I think it's all very much, whether it was planned or not, I'm not sure, but it's certainly now at this point being used. There's a lot of hands out, and it certainly benefits a lot of people, especially now the Labour Party. And I think the reason for that is because the country's on its knees. The economy has been in ruins for at least 15 years, if not 20. And a lot of people are packing up and leaving. A lot of people are not voting. A lot of people they're in a state of apathy. They don't really vote anymore. They don't believe in it. They've given up, or they'll vote for reform. And so Labour are dead without certain minorities and a certain population of non-natives, let's say, in my opinion, and these will be the future voters of Labour, because a lot of them won't end up leaving. A lot of them won't end up getting deported or getting. Nothing will happen to these people. Most of them will stay in the country now. And the country will just rapidly. I try to be optimistic. I try to look at things. Something will come along eventually. Something will get better, but I honestly just don't see it. I just can't. I just think that the whole political system's completely corrupt, top to bottom. people just can't seem to organise themselves and work together to change things enough. There's too much division. There's too much disagreement among people on the same sides, political sides, and I think that's why the left is as being so. I hate to say the word successful, but let's use it against the right, because they've, you've got. But then again, having said that, you've got the mainstream media, you've got the big, big banks and corporations and things like that are, left leaning, left leaning investors and so forth, and it's a really very unbalanced society, and it has been probably for the majority of my lifetime, really. And for a period of time, I thought that Brexit could have had a lot more impact, but it was just sabotage from the beginning. It was never going to be allowed to, and that's just where I'm at now. I just feel, I guess I've kind of become a little bit apathetic against it all, and just feel like I just don't see much hope on the horizon, politically speaking. I just think that, the only thing that's going to happen if there seems to be a little bit of traction going on towards UKIP at the moment because of what's happened with reform in the last week or so, whatever it's been. And so I suspect UKIP will start to gain voters back to a certain extent, but I just think that people don't want to be seen as being too far on the fringes of society. I think a lot of people, they play it safe by voting for reform, because I don't know. There's just this whole thing of, there's this pressure that the media kind of puts out there about, you're this if you vote this way, or you're far right if you support this person, or if you hold these views or whatever, then you're a bigot, or this. And so I think that guilt tripping, that long, never-ending guilt tripping by the media has kind of played into the hands of reform, really, because they see themselves as a kind of like, this moderate, this centre-right party, because they're essentially trying to make themselves appear that they're part of the establishment, in a weird way. They're trying to break into that kind of that mold, that inner circle that becomes accepted and the norm, and it's just off the tip of the tongue kind of thing. People will just look at it the way that we look at Labour and Conservatives. Basically reform is essentially just like a neo like Conservative party, really, as far as I'm concerned. It's certainly, in some ways, well, it's supposed to be, I think it's trying to represent what Conservatives used to be to some extent. But I just get some bad vibes from the both of them, certainly in recent months. I just think Farage is too much of is too much of an actor, really. He's too much of a is too much of a stage presence these days, I think, rather than he wants to be. He's trying to leave a legacy. He knows he's not going to be around for too much longer. So he wants to leave a legacy. He wants to feel like he's done something, and I get that. But I just think his ego gets the better of him a lot of the time, and I don't know if I can trust the guy, to be honest. I agree with a lot of what he says, but I don't trust him. And that also applies to Tice as well. And so what's probably going to happen is you're going to have the votes going to be split in the I think the county council elections next year, and whenever the local elections are. I just think that it's all over. You just can't. It just appears that there's just too many obstacles in the way. It's designed to make it virtually impossible to break through and to change anything for the better. You know, because people don't want things to be changed, because certainly when there's money involved and when it suits them, because it's they don't want change. They don't want things to be better because it doesn't suit their greedy, selfish, corrupt, sleazy nature. They want things to stay the same because that means that they maintain power and control. You know, that's why the electoral commission such a pain in the ass to deal with. It's all rigged. It's all set up to be pro-left. You know, excessive regulations, excessive rules about party, what you can and can't do, what you can and can't say, what you can and can't promote, and blah blah blah. And it's just, the whole thing is just, it's beyond corrupt. It's just, I hate to use the word evil, but it's certainly, we're just not in a good state politically, and I'd like to think that Labour get booted out before their term's up. I really would. And I think it appears to me, I suspect sometime next year that either he'll end up having to resign, or he'll just get booted out of his own party, because they're just going to lose so much support from people that they know that they're going to be finished. And you know, you would. The thing is, Starmer's a megalomaniac. He's one of these types of people that has no conscience. They don't care about the damage, the consequences to the economy, the consequences to normal people's lives. They couldn't give a fuck, because the things that they introduce don't really matter to them. Does not really going to damage them that much, because a lot of their money is probably not even in the country, not even invested in the country, and a lot of the time they're probably not even in the country, or if they are, they live in some nice little, you know, a nice wealthy area that are well away from most of the problems of the consequences that they've allowed to come into, that they've instigated. So I don't know what the future is politically in the UK. I suspect it'll probably be more of the same. Do I think Reform's got a chance of winning the 2029 general election? Probably not. What I suspect will probably happen, and I really hope that I'm not right about this, but I won't be surprised if the Conservatives win again. You know, they'll pull something out of the bag, or they'll take on Reform's policies or something, because that's the sleazy nature of the political game. You know, I'm not surprised why people like Anne-Marie Waters, for example. She became disillusioned with it all and decided to quit politics. And you know, you can't gather enough people together. You can't get the momentum going for long enough. You can't get enough funding. You can't get people to pull together in unity. There's too much division, like I said before. Too much bickering, there's too much drama, too much point scoring, and just too much immaturity just all around, really. And I think really a deeper, perhaps the bigger and main issue of the disease that's led to excessive amounts of wokery is that people just are too apathetic. People just don't think that they just don't care, or they just don't think that it matters. They don't think that they have a voice anymore. That the whole system's, it's just a pointless exercise, really. You know, it's just it's wasted. Their vote's wasted. It doesn't count for anything, because whoever gets in anywhere, they just, you know, they throw the manifesto in the bin and that's it. It doesn't matter. It's like they've got in power, they've done what they set out to do, and that's it, basically. So you know, with the recent budget and everything, you would think that the people would be up in arms about and people would be rioting on the street, but I really fear for the future of England and just really the whole of the United Kingdom. I think things aren't getting better in Wales or Scotland or Ireland from what I can tell anyway, by the sounds of things. So I just think the whole country's in massive decline, and I think ultimately it's to do with this. I think probably what happened in the sixties and seventies, this push towards more and more individualism and the breakdowns of communities due to decline in industry and manufacturing and things that a lot of things that gave people a sense of community. I just think a lot of things have gone. A lot of things have. It's just it just feels like a completely different country now. You know, I wasn't lucky or unlucky to have been brought up in the 60s or 70s, but by all accounts, from what my parents have told me and so forth, it just seemed like the country was a bit more. It seemed like it was a bit more unity back then. It's more of a tighter knit community. Look, there's always been differences, and there's always been, you know, this neighbour doesn't like this neighbour, or this person can't stand this person. That's just human nature. That's life. That's just the way it's always been. But I think people were more willing to put the differences aside in the past and come together to try and beat, you know, strength in numbers, to try and do something that might have an effect on something. And it just feels that these days, I get all these marches and things. That's all good and great, but I just don't think it's not changing anything. It's not really. What is it proving? What is it really bringing to the table? It's like, yeah, it's great to go out there and feel a sense of pride and to feel that you're maybe somehow, you know, kind of being rebellious to society and to the system and everything. Well, that's all good and great, but. And this sense of like freedom, whatever, or this sense of feeling British, whatever that means anymore. I just don't know where the country's heading, and I'm genuinely worried about the political direction of the country, whether that's far left or whether that's far right, because that very well could be where this ends up going if we end up with another 10, 15, 20 years of far left. What I call far left extremism, really, because that's what it is, as far as I'm concerned. It's woke nonsense shoved down your throat day in, day out in that country, and that's one of the reasons kind of why I left. I was just so sick of it all. I was so sick of just, you've got to accept this ideology. You've got to accept that you can't say these things. You've got to accept that this is how we think now. This is how we. And there was no time for. You know, you're not allowed to have your own opinions. You're not allowed to, or you're certainly not allowed to have conservative-leaning opinions, or whatever you want to call them, traditional views and attitudes. God forbid anybody have those kind of thoughts and feelings. And so I just think that really, unless we can, we've got to change. We've got to get rid of. We need something new in that country. The whole lot of it, the whole political system it just needs to be put in the bin. It needs to be changed. Everything needs to be changed. We need massive investment in the country. We certainly need to have new industries and manufacturing brought back. And we've got to get ourselves together. We've got to bring ourselves together again. We've got to stand up and start to figure out what we are. What are we anymore? Like who are we as a people? What do we want for the future of our country? Like, what do we want in the present? You know, do we look around you? Look how fucked everything is. Look how broken the infrastructure is, the health system is, the welfare system is. Just how crap employment is for a lot of people, whether you're unskilled or skilled. It hasn't worked, and it isn't working. It's all outdated. It's fucked. We've really got to get ourselves more back to a kind of collectivist society, really, I think. And that's one of the things I love about Thailand, is that it is more like that, but also that's not ideal in other ways, but I think in many ways it works, and it gives people more a sense of, it gives you a sense of belonging, whereas I think in England for the past few years it's just been this, I'm all right, Jack, fuck you and everybody else. I am me and my kids are the only thing that matters. Everybody else can go and get fucked, kind of thing. This kind of attitude. So I don't give a fuck about you. You don't matter to me. My life is the only thing that's important to me. This is what England's been like for a while, and we've got to do away with that. That's it's like, yes, it is, yeah, your life does matter to you and it should matter to you, but so does everybody else's lives. This kind of selfish, narrow-minded, with the blinkers on type thinking, that's what's got us into this mess, and this whole white guilt bullshit thing as well, and this, we must be tolerant because of what we did in the past, this whole, yeah, but we colonised, we raped and pillaged in other countries, so we well, yeah, but but by that logic, then anybody that's ever done any disservice to you, or anybody that's ever done anything wrong to you, owes you for the rest of your fucking life. Then is that how this works? Then it's like we've paid our dues. We've done what we had to do as a country. We've stopped slavery. We've paid untold amounts of money back to countries that we colonised, who've profited massively off it, while we got poorer and poorer and poorer and poorer and poorer. We've done all of that shit. We got to get past all that crap. Okay, we can't just keep burying our heads in the sand and pretending that everything, oh, it's just the way it is, it's the economy, things will get better. No, it won't. It won't get better. It's just going to get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. It's just going to get fucking worse. There'll be more and more poverty. There'll be less things there for you, less security for you as you get older. The welfare system will probably come to an end at some point because they won't be able to afford to keep it anymore. So then you really will see poverty return to the UK. The way things are going, a lot of people are going to up and leave. There's no reason to be there. You can't make any money, or if you do make money, you get taxed to hell and back. So you can't really save enough money. It's just not worth it for a lot of people. Certainly not for young people. They're going to be like, looking around and thinking, what's the point? Why am I here? There's nothing for me here. What's the fucking point? And there's nothing sadder than that when young people feel that they have to up and leave because they despise their own country, or not the country in a natural sense, but they despise the politicians. They despise their own government. I'm not saying that we're ever going to end up in a place where we have this utopian, ideal, completely ideal perfection of a government or something, because we never will be like that. There'll always be problems. There'll always be things that need to be bettered. But we could do a fuckload better than what we've had for the last couple of decades. That's for sure. The country's fucking screwed. It's dead. And it was bad. It was getting bad in the mid to late 2000s when I was a teenager or a young adult. It was getting bad then. And it's just been getting. I've seen it gradually get worse. I've seen things. More and more businesses go up and leave, or be made bankrupt, or I've seen the retail, the high street collapse. The economy's got worse and worse and worse. The pound doesn't really get you anything anymore. Wages aren't keeping up with inflation and things like that. It's just, it doesn't work. People are getting poorer, financially speaking. They're getting poorer and poorer and poorer, and nothing's really being done about it. All it ever is just sticky patches and this scheme and that scheme, or we'll do this for the north, we'll do that for the Midlands, we'll do that for the south, and this will prop us up for a few years, and then but it never comes to anything. It never really solves anything. It's just a we can't be asked kind of approach to politics and to trying to, because they know that the deep issues in society and dealing with them are going to be highly controversial. That's what it is. And it goes against their liberalist, globalist bullshit. That's what it comes down to in the end. They know that the real changes that need to be made to that country, that would make them appear to be something that they don't want to be seen as. So they don't want to deal with. They don't really want to deal with this stuff. They just want to be managers, really. Manage the chaos that's left and make it a little bit worse as well while we're in office. So, as far as I'm concerned, I honestly have absolutely no faith certainly have no faith in this government. None. Absolutely none at all. Don't have any faith in the Conservative Party anymore. But for a while I was like kind of, maybe they might be the best of the two options, but they're finished, and by all accounts reform seemed to have pretty much collapsed as well, and they did it to themselves. So what's now? What's next then? Liberal Democrats, UKIP, some fringe parties. I personally think that and I've been saying this since like 2010. I'm sure I've mentioned it on another video on my channel here, but I'm pretty sure we're heading towards some kind of civil war now. I'm pretty sure of it. I don't think the political system's going to change anything. I really genuinely believe that this is going to erupt into chaos and violence eventually, because you can't just keep borrowing money to keep propping up to keep managing the debt of the country. It's just, the irony of it all, and just managing the decline. It's like, where does it end? Like, when there's just nothing left. There's no jobs for anybody. There's no welfare for anybody. Like, what do you think's going to happen then? When people have got nothing to lose, then they're going to be out on the streets, or when they just can't afford to eat anymore. They can't afford to pay the bills anymore. This government's probably going to be one of the most disastrous governments England has ever seen. I reckon. God knows where the country's going to be in 2029. I don't even really want to think about it. But I can guarantee you, I suspect before 2029 there'll be absolute chaos on the streets of the UK, I reckon. It won't be like the recent riots. It'll be far beyond that. It'll be everybody out on the streets. At a certain point, people will snap, and people will demand for Starmer's head, and people will be out to get him. And if not, well, then people will get what they deserve, as far as I'm concerned. They will get the country that they deserve, because they didn't stand up. They didn't have enough balls, motivation to get up and do anything about it. Everyone likes to complain, but then there's nothing wrong in that. I complain. My channel's pretty much all it is really complaining about different things, but it's okay to be honest and real and to complain and but at the same time, it's like, certainly from a political point of view and an economic, a social, cultural point of view, if you're not going to do anything about it, if you're not going to come together and actually try to change the direction of the country, then what's the point then? What's the point? Why are you even going to these marches? It's like well, yeah, but that's sort of the only thing we can really do apart from that. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe you could band together with a few million people and go right to the Houses of Parliament and absolutely demand change. Demand that things get better for you, or you'll burn the fucking place to the ground. That's what needs. Yeah, I'm not I'm not I don't like violence. I'm not a violent person, and I don't condone violence. But I think this is where we're going anyway. I'm sorry to say it, but I really do think that's where we're heading towards now. Do you really think things are going to change? Even if reform won tomorrow, you think things are going to get better? Or even if they do, it'll take years or decades to see improvement. Probably. People, I'm sorry to say it, and I don't want to call for disruption and unrest, but I think ultimately that might be just what has to happen in the end. And it may just be that it will happen. Because I think people are so utterly, they just feel lost. People are lost, they're confused, they're angry, they're bitter, they're resentful, they're full of rage at politicians, at the councils, for covering up all sorts of corruption, at banks taking the piss, crashing the economy and getting away with it. People, big corporations and companies not paying taxes while everyone else gets fucking shafted left, right, and centre. Taxes for this, taxes for that. It's funny, isn't it? They want you to work your ass off. Why? I'll tell you why. Because they want more of your money. That's why. They want you to work. If they could, they'd have you working yourself to death. It'd be like a Nazi concentration camp. That's what the country is anyway these days, basically. It's just a modern day concentration camp. What a country. How did we get here? How did we allow ourselves to get into this situation? I would imagine it's probably through apathy more than anything else. And we felt that for a while that we were getting better as a country and we were prosperous. But really, I think deep down, it's just that people are selfish cunts. No one gives a fuck about anybody else in that country anymore. There's no community spirit there anymore. No one cares. And even when people come to these marches, it's like, well, yeah, that's all good and great, and we're all one and that's crap. It's like, well, yeah, but once it's all over with and the stage gets packed, it's like, well, really, are we? If I really needed you, would you be there for me? Probably not. Are we really anything? Do we? What the fuck is the UK these? What is it? What are the English anymore? What are the British, the Scots, the Welsh, the Irish? Like, what does any of this mean anymore? Because that suggests that we're all part of something, and it doesn't appear to me that we've been part of anything for a very long time. We've allowed ourselves to be crushed and backed into a corner because we didn't want to be seen as being intolerant or bigoted or extreme, because we wanted something for ourselves and our culture and our country that goes against the liberalist rhetoric that the media spouts and the government wants. So either, at the end of the day, we it's like we either tolerate or we don't. If people want to be poorer and poorer and poorer year on year for the next 10 years under Labour government, be my guest. That's up to you. That I'm not living there, but I don't want to live under that shite. No way. Where you went just enough to survive, just enough to afford that measly holiday in Spain or whatever. Or even if you can afford that, so you can end up with a few grand in the bank by the time you're retired. Whoopie fucking do. 30, 40 years with 10 grand in the bank. Well, that's great, isn't it? If you're lucky to even save it that much. That country is finished unless people pull fucking fingers out their asses and do something, get off their ass, and come together for once and actually build a community, a real community that actually does something, that stands for something, that actually puts the differences together and comes together. Because if not, that you're finished. Your country's gone. And we know we'll take it over. And it already is being taken over. I don't want to see this end in violence. I don't want to see this end in Islamic dominance over the country because of liberalist policies and ideology. I don't want to see that. It should remain a Christian country, whether you're religious or not. It should remain a Christian country. Yes, we should have some degree of liberalism to a certain extent, but we should say this is where we draw the line. These are our standards. These are our customs. This is what we do as a nation, as a country. This is what we allow. And if you don't buy by those laws, then off you go. Go elsewhere. Fuck off somewhere else. That's what we need to do. We need to put our fucking foot down for once, for the first time in decades, and say, this is our country. This is who we are. This is what we want. We don't give a fuck about those people who are here illegally, or don't give a shit about the country, or want to trash their communities, or can commit crime, or be involved in gangs, or smuggling, or whatever the fuck it is. Those people can fuck off. Those people need to either go to jail, or they need to be deported elsewhere. We need a massive, massive, massive crackdown. We need a massive, serious, radical manifesto where we start to be very fucking serious about our future and what we're going to do and what we're prepared to do. That's what we need to do. We just can't go on this way. We can't go on this way because it's going to erupt into prolonged and very fucking ugly civil unrest. That's where this is going. And if people think that reform is some kind of majestic political party that's going to solve all the problems of the country, think again. Tyson Farage are businessmen. They're opportunists. That's what they are. Let's call it for what it is. They're out for themselves. I don't personally trust them. I respect certain things that they say, and I agree with certain things that they say, but unfortunately, I just have a bad vibe from them. I wish I didn't, but I do. Am I saying that UKIP's the better alternative? I don't know. I really genuinely don't know. I don't know what the answer to this is, but it's certainly not Labour or Conservatives. That's for sure. Whether we have to end up tolerating reform until something better comes along down the line, that might be how we end up having to play this out. I don't think there are any easy solutions here. I don't think there are any easy answers to this. But I can tell you this, that if we don't do anything, if we just sit back on our asses and keep pretending that everything's hunky-dory and there's not, it'll pass. It's just one of those things that happens every so many, it'll be all right. If we just have that kind of attitude, this carefree, just keep your fucking head down, then you're fucked. You and your family, you and your kids, you and your grandkids, and their futures is over. It's done. It's finished. Mark my words. In my opinion, we have probably a 5 to 10 year period in which we can potentially turn things around and try to make some headway. Radically change the media and get rid of all these corrupt, sleazy, slimy cunts that call themselves politicians. I'm not saying it's going to be an easy or quick fix, because it's not. This is going to take decades to sort out. But we need to do something soon, because we're reaching that point, I think, where we're not going to be able to come back from it. So people need to start waking the fuck up in that country. And stop with this, well, I'm all right, it's not going to cut it anymore. That's not going to work. Because it'll be you that's in prison next. You'll be the next Peter Lynch. You'll be the next Tommy Robinson. Because that's where this is going. We've got to change. We've we've got to change. We've got to change. And we've got to do it now. Or fucking soon. Because we're heading towards very dangerous, very, very dark, dangerous, depressing times ahead in the near future. And I don't want to come across as being defeatist or why are you so negative? Why are you so why are you just so giving up? I haven't given up. I'm just trying to be real and open and raw about it. This is how I really feel about my country. That's why I'm still here in Thailand, partly. Because there's nothing there. The country's been stripped of anything that was decent about it for the last 20 years. It's all been deliberately wiped away. What kind of country do you want to live in? That's what you've got to ask yourself at the end of the day. It's not about you. It's not about me anyway. It's about your kids and your grandkids, their futures. That's what really matters. Because we're not going to be around forever. If we're lucky, we're going to get a few more decades. England matters to me, and it matters to a lot of people. Or the UK it really overall matters. I want to see it preserved. I want to see some of it left. I don't like the direction it's going. I haven't for years. I really like I said, I don't particularly like Trump that much, but God forbid if he doesn't win this election. I really do genuinely feel and fear for the future of the Western world, really. I really do. If Harris wins, this is gonna get really fucking ugly. I don't like getting angry and I don't like getting emotional, but I miss my country. I love my country, man, or what it used to be anyway. But I can't go back there. I just can't. Not until things change. Or I see potential of it changing. And for the last few years, I've seen not an inch of change, not an inch towards something that might be better. Something worthy of going back to. Not a single little bit. And that saddens me. Because there is potential there. There's hope, still hope for the country. But too many people are so stuck on the stubbornness and arrogance. And no, well, my opinions are the only ones that matter. My agenda is more important than yours. This is how I think things should be. No. You're either with me or against me. It's this black or white bullshit thinking. It's all about me attitude bullshit. It's like, why don't we come together, compromise, and share a set of values and principles and a direction and work on policies that would benefit everybody. And get your fucking egos out of it. That's the problem. Put your egos in the fucking bin. That's what's holding it in that country back. It's selfishness, it's greed, and it's your fucking ego. Get it out. Otherwise, we're done. And I really do mean done. And I'm sorry for being so intense so many times throughout my videos, but when I'm passionate about things, I tend to shout, I tend to get angry. Because these things are in here, they're in here. I loved my country when I was a kid, when I was growing up. And I feel embarrassed and ashamed of it for the past few years. I don't want to feel like that about my country. I want to be proud of it. I want it to be a place that I want to live in, that I like the way it looks. I like the way it feels. I like to feel safe in it. I like to feel that there's opportunities there for me. And not even just me, young people now coming out of school, there's nothing there for them at the moment. We have to change it. Somehow, I don't know what that way is, but we've got to do something. And we better do it in the next 5 to 10 years. Because time is running out. It really is.